So for the last 3 months I've been working on a big project at the allotment, and now I finally got it finished. It feels like I've been doing this forever. It's taken a long time to do. Finally it's finished, and that is all the raised beds. I've gone completely no dig with the allotment, pretty much 95% of the allotment's no dig now. And the reason why I've done this, a lot of people have said, oh, no dig is an excuse to be lazy, and some people are against raised beds. That's fine, you're entitled to your own opinion. But I like no dig and I like raised beds, and the reason why is because my ground is very, very heavy clay. When I took this allotment on back in 2019, I grew a lot of things in the ground. I made all my beds in the ground, and the only problem with that is heavy clay. Not much stuff grew very well in there, especially the last couple of years when we had very wet winters and wet summers. Things really suffered in the ground. So I thought, let's just go completely no dig. Let's build loads of raised beds, which we've done. We've built 11 of them. I'm going to show you what I've got here for the new subscribers as well, if you've not been watching my previous videos. And I'll show you how I filled them up as well, because I've added quite a few materials to them, and I'll show you how I actually built them as well. I'll show you the materials I used and how I built them, and I'm going to tell you what I've got planned to grow in them this year. I hope you find some inspiration from this video, and I hope you enjoy. The only thing I really need to do before spring is wood chip these paths again. Look at this. These paths are incredibly muddy at the moment. That's the only downside really. I used the wood chip from these paths to help fill these raised beds up. It's just a case of renewing them now. Anyway, all the raised beds are now filled up. I've had to remove quite a lot of these twigs off them, branches, because we had Storm Ewan the other week, and that caused a lot of damage to certain parts of the UK. Thankfully though, we didn't bear the brunt of the strongest winds, and we also have these trees as well sheltering us. The only thing we had was these branches falling off everywhere. The allotment was completely covered in branches. So we've built 11 raised beds, and I used this wood here. I used 1 by 6 inch lengths of wood, 3 meters long. It's just treated, rough cut sawn wood. I use treated so it lasts longer, but I'm not worried about chemicals leaching into the soil because I've lined them with this damp-proof membrane here. That will stop the soil from touching the wood and making it rot, but it will also stop any chemicals if there is any leaching into that soil. I have simply just got the 3 meter lengths of wood there, 2 high, so 12 inches deep with these ones, and then I just cut a 3 meter length into 1 meter lengths like that for the ends, and then I just got these 2 by 3 inch battens for the corners there, and also for some support further up as well, there and there. And I've put a stake in there as well. I've done them quite deep on either side to stop the beds from bowing, but I may have to put another couple of stakes in because I don't know if it's just me, but it looks like that's starting to bow slightly already. But there is a couple of tons of material in there, I would say, so I'm not surprised. So I may need to put some more stakes in. There are some smaller raised beds here using the same wood. The only difference is these are 1 meter by 2 meter, so not as long. So there are 3 of these 1 by 3 meter beds, 6 of these 1 by 2 meter beds. Teemu bed there, and then there are these beds here. This wood was on offer in wicks, so I picked it up. I was just going to use the 1 by 6 inch stuff, but I decided, you know, for literally an extra 50p a length, I went with this stuff. This stuff is 2 inches by 5 inches, and I've done them 3 high instead. It worked out being slightly more expensive, but for the thicker wood and the longer beds, I think it's well worth doing. Again, I've used them battens for the corners and for some support further up as well, and I've lined them with damp-proof membrane. I've lined all these beds with damp-proof membrane to help it last, and I've also tried to underlap the plastic as well, like that. So the wood is sort of sat on top of the plastic. That was a tip by Stephen Colwell. He said to let it underlap like that, and the wood won't be touching the wet soil underneath. Really good idea. So big thank you to Steve for that. And yeah, so let's go over how I've actually filled these up. What I did is I removed all my wood chip paths, which were quite well rotted already. They were a good few years old. I've been putting wood chip paths down for the last few years now. So I just scooped them up. There must have been a good few tons of it in total. And then I just applied loads of kitchen scraps on top of that. Any native soil that was around the beds, I scooped that out and that helped fill them up as well a little bit. So there's a bit of native soil in there. I also put a little bit of very well rotted horse manure in the very bottom as well to help fill the bottom up. I'm quite careful with horse manure now, as you may know. And then I got 3 tons of topsoil to add a layer of topsoil on top of that. And then I got loads of bags of compost, and I've put a couple of bags of compost on each bed, just for the very top layer. So wood chip and horse manure on the bottom, kitchen scraps, topsoil, and then some bags of compost on the very top. Now my plan for what I'm growing in these beds is as follows. These 3 beds at the front here, I plan on growing onions. I may grow onions in this one as well, here, but I think I'm going to grow leeks in this one. My plan for this one is some sort of brassica, maybe turnip or swede. I've limed this as well. I've added a good bit of garden lime in there to bring the acidity down, because I don't want it to be too acidic. You can get club root and things like that. Brassicas don't like an acidic soil. For these 3 beds here, my plan is just brassicas, cabbage and broccoli. I want to grow quite a lot of broccoli this year. Sorry, there's a bit of glare there. I want to grow quite a lot of broccoli this year because we do eat quite a lot of it. And these have all been limed as well, quite heavily, to bring the acidity down. Because of all that wood chip and horse manure and fresh compost, it's going to be quite acidic. So it's important that it's not too acidic for the brassicas. For these 2 beds here, I think we're probably going to grow courgettes, beans, things like that. These are going to be like the sun-loving crops on this side, because this side of the plot does get a lot of sun. In the Temu bed, it's going to be beans, I think. That's the plan with that. I still need to put that hose pipe around the rim, around the top. Our asparagus is here. That should give us a crop this year. This will be its 3rd season. And yeah, no signs of them yet. I'm going to remove all this dead foliage before they come up though. But flipping heck, look at that. Look how much it's dropped. When I filled these up 2 years ago, I filled it up right to there. And look how much it's dropped. So I'm going to have to factor that in with these as well. These will drop as well a little bit. So I will have to top them up with some more compost next year. Obviously with these, because I've put asparagus in them, it wouldn't really be wise to top them up with compost every year, because I'll just be burying them crowns even more. Or maybe I can do that. Let me know in the comments below. Does it really matter if I just put more compost on top? I don't really want them crowns to be submerged too much, because I don't want them to rot or anything like that. But if I can do that, you know, if it doesn't really matter, do let me know, because I may do that if I can get away with it. Because look how much, look at that. That's like a good 10 inches that it's dropped there. The asparagus is still raised off the ground. I'm sure they still drain quite well. It is very important that asparagus drains well. But yeah, I've used pallet wood for these as well, and these have now lasted 2 years and they're still doing really well. So you can use a lot of different things for raised beds. This bed here is probably going to be our carrots again. This is an old bed. This is 3 years old now, or 2 years old. And yeah, I'm probably going to go carrots in there again this year, because carrots don't like a rich soil. I'll probably put more sand in there, to be honest, to make it a bit sandier. I've still got all these herbs which I had to remove from the herb bed to put down the raised beds, I need to put these somewhere to remove this big branch that's fallen down off the trees. Yeah, I've got loads of chives here and oregano, which I need to put somewhere. I don't know where yet. We'll think of something, I'm sure. Look at that, the rhubarb's already starting to come up. It's only beginning of February. Look at that. Just goes to show how mild it's been. We had a cold snap around early January, and yeah, we got a bit of snow, very hard frosts, -7, -8. But since then, it's been really mild, really. It's not been too bad at all. And yeah, that's why the rhubarb's coming up. I'm actually trying to grow some rhubarb from seed, just as an experiment to see if I can grow rhubarb from seed, because I want to plant a bit more of it. I want to plant more. I need to do something with this area here. There's rhubarb here, but there's nothing here at the moment. I might make another raised bed here, or I might just throw more rhubarb in, really, and just have this as one big rhubarb bed. Look at that. Signs of spring already. Spring is just around the corner now. These are all the alliums, and they're all starting to grow quite happily now, as they always do in the mild UK winters. These start sprouting in December usually. Even the tulips are starting to grow. Look at that. Even they're starting to grow. Isn't that crazy? Okay, so whilst you're here, I'm gonna just show you what's going on at home under the grow lights. Why not? May as well while we're here. And yeah, we've got a lot of onions on the go at the moment here. I need to actually thin them out. They're in these modules at the moment. I multi-sowed them. I'm probably going to take these down to the allotment very soon actually, and separate them and pot them on. I've got loads of them. I've got Ayrshire Craig here. I've also got some red magnate, which are coming along really well, but yeah, they do need to be thinned out now and separated. They've got about 3 sets of leaves now. They're just starting to get the 3rd leaf. The shelf right above it has got peppers, lots of them. I've got loads of peppers here on the go. I've got New Ace, Fiesta and King of the North. More over here as well. Yeah, they're coming along really well. They've got their true leaves now, and I'll be potting them on soon. I need to separate some of these because there's a couple in each module here. We've got aubergines as well. This variety is called Genie. And apart from that, guys, it's onions really here. More onions again. Ayrshire Craig, Reinsberger and Red Magnate. I think we've kind of gone over the top with onions. Look at how many there is here. Look at that. Crazy. We've got a few leeks here as well. I've sown a few of them early and they're coming along quite well. See how they do. And the last shelf above it, we've got more leeks again. Like we've not already got enough down there. And what have we got here? I've actually sown some tomatoes. Now I know I said I'm not sowing tomatoes till March, but last week I decided to sow a few of them just to see if I can get away with growing some early. See if I can grow some plants under these grow lights and then take the side shoots off and grow them side shoots on to produce plants later on as well. I'm just starting these off for now. The rest of my tomatoes that I'm growing will be started in March, but this is just a few early ones. And this variety of tomato is called Cocktail Crush. But yeah, that is all I'm starting off at the moment. But I have these grow lights to grow them on. We've got basil there as well, which we had in the propagators as well, but we're taking them off now because they've germinated. I do love basil. Good companion for tomatoes. Yeah, back to our leeks again there, which are just germinating. And I've actually sown some rhubarb from seed. Just as an experiment, I ordered some rhubarb seeds from Premier Seeds Direct. Yes, it's going to take much longer to grow than crowns. Much more cost effective though, much cheaper. And honestly, it's just for fun this. I just want to see if I can grow some rhubarb plants from seed. I'm quite fascinated by the idea, to be honest. But yeah, they're coming along nicely. They're all starting to germinate, which is good. And our last one over here is peppers, more peppers again. King of the North. Can remove that lid soon, I think, because they are starting to germinate. Once they're all up, I'll remove that dome and we'll be off and running. So I think everything's looking pretty good. I'm quite happy with how the allotment's looking. It's about where it should be for this time of year, I think. The only thing I need to do is sort out these paths because they are very muddy. I need to get some wood chip. But even though we had a storm the other week, we don't have many arborists that are wanting to get rid of wood chip. I'm really surprised. In previous years, when there's been a big storm, there've been arborists dropping loads of wood chip off like there's no tomorrow. Honestly, they've been turning up out of nowhere, these wood chip piles. But this year, there's just been nothing. It's really weird. I don't know what's going on. Maybe people are struggling for jobs. Maybe there's a lot of arborists out there. Maybe they're charging people for wood chip now because, you know, times are hard, cost of living crisis and all that, which I understand. But for the amount of wood chip I need, I just can't be paying for it. It's just too much. You know, I'm going to need a good 2 or 3 tons of the stuff, and it's just not financially viable really to be doing that. Anyway, I've got a really good feeling about this year. I feel like it's going to be a really good growing season. We've got the new plot as well, of course, which we need to put this weed-proof membrane down, of course. That needs to be done. The wind blew that off. And we also need to finish the raised beds. But yeah, I think come springtime, this will look much better. I mean, it already looks better than it did last year because last year it was just completely overgrown. Now it just needs tidying up a little bit, ready for spring, but I'm sure it's going to be a good growing season. I need to paint my shed as well. I've got some midnight blue paint which I'm going to paint this with, and I think I'm going to do that probably in the next month. I might film myself doing that actually. I think that'll be fun. Film myself film myself painting this and having a ramble as well. Hopefully that should make for quite an interesting video. And yeah, so that's how the allotment is looking at the moment. The raised beds are all finished now and we are waiting for some wood chip. I hope you enjoyed today's little ramble, little vlog. Nothing too serious, just very casual. I hope to see you in the next one. Happy sowing and happy growing, and I'll see you in the next one.